What's going on, rock stars? Welcome back to another episode of The 1% Life. I'm your host, peak performance coach and trainer, Joanie Dillon. And for those of you watching us live, man, drop a hashtag live. And if you're watching the replay, drop a hashtag replay in the chat. If it's your first time listening to us on the 1% Life show, we want to know who you are. And put a 1 in the chat. If you are a repeat listener, definitely let us know that as well, as we like to acknowledge you, your loyalty, and we see your growth. We see your growth. We read your comments. We see how you're changing, how you're evolving just by continuing to listen to the 1% Life show. So I love to acknowledge you. We know who you regulars are. Let's put a 2 in the chat. All right, rock stars, we're talking about, this is an interesting topic. And that is really what it is required to transform, right? Like transforming into the person that you want to be, the person who has achieved and is attaining all the goals and the dreams and the aspirations for your life, right? You are the person who is achieving or achieved your 1% life. And I don't believe we ever get there, Rockstar. I believe that we continue to have dreams and goals that are so far beyond where we are right now. So it propels us towards having that compelling future. And by the way, if you know anybody who should be listening to this show, definitely share this out and tag them below. So we are on day 3 of day 4, holy cow, time is flying, of the Create Your 1% Life Challenge. Doors are officially closed. Nobody else is allowed into this challenge. They're such an incredible group. And I wanted to read you something from someone who is, they're doing the work, and that's part of what it takes to shift and to break through this. So I wanted to read you something real quickly, and we're going to get into what is required to break through that to get to the other side. And so here is this amazing rock star in this group. I'm going to start here. It's really long, but here's where the beginning is for me now. My vision is so far away that is not even real to me. It's my someday self. I started my levels from this end result in mind, but soon realized I was not making a smart goal for myself and needed to aim for something closer to where I stand now. It's just an exercise we're walking them through. No wonder it all seems insurmountable. I want it all yesterday. Today, I'm both humbled and humiliated. I feel so far behind the amazing people in this group who have goals and achievements that I only dream of. It's really painful. I'm also far behind where I thought I would be by this stage in my life, but I am old and wise enough to know that actually everything is right in its perfect place. But it's my time to raise my standards of myself for myself. When I look at who I'm destined to be and see that I will be doing what I will be doing to become her today, it felt like a funeral for the woman I have lived with for 48 years. I found myself mumbling aloud, I hate this. I realized it's my old subconscious programming in fight or flight mode, trying to wrestle its way out of its death throes. Talk about getting out of my own way. This is the number one thing that has been holding me back. I just did not know how to deal with it until this exercise. It was really emotional, guys. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Wow. So powerful. And here's what I want to talk to you about in particular. Number 1, stop comparing yourself to others and where they're at. In order to get to the life that you desire and you live, you have to focus on you and not what others are doing. Will there not be other people who are living a life that you desire, who are further ahead, who have achieved more financial freedom, who have, the homes all over, whatever it is that you desire? There's always somebody who's done it bigger than you. And when we compare ourselves to them, what we do is we minimize ourselves and our ability to just show up, not for someone else or because we strive to be what they are or have what they have, but because we're striving for excellence every single day. And this holds people back. I'm so far away from where my friends are. I heard it with one of our current coaching clients. She says, all my friends have achieved all these degrees and they're so far ahead of me and I don't have any of that. So guess what? She didn't do. She doesn't go out and put out the work that she needs to put out into the world because she's in her mind, she's already so far behind what everyone else in her environment and her community has done. They've got the degrees, they have all the, certifications. So she's chasing and always feeling like she's not catching up. So then she doesn't act, she doesn't do the work, right? So that's the first thing that I wanted to point out here. And the other thing is this, is that we have to, when we begin this process of transformation, and it requires a lot of work, right? It requires doing the work on ourselves. And that's the inner work. It's not taking, the course or doing the thing, unless that lets you do the inner work. It helps you do the inner work. And there are many programs that do that. And so here, one of the things that I'm reading is that she's putting in the time despite the discomfort, right? Look at what came out. She's like, I was crying, I was emotional, there was all this stuff coming up for me, but I'm committed to do it anyway, right? I know my vision feels so far out there. We can't just leap there. We have to take a step forward. And the step forward usually requires, if we've been resisting it, what's that thing that we've been resisting inside? What is that we're resisting? And then what's the belief or the subconscious beliefs that are leading to that resistance? What's the thing that needs resolution that has not yet been resolved? And begin to acknowledge that. So what I have them do in this on pre-challenge day, before the challenge even begins, is walk through what is called their logical levels blueprint, which really connects with what's the desired outcome that you want, the environment that you desire to have, and who's the person that you need to be in order to get there. See, it's not about once I have the money, then I'll do the thing and then I'll be the person, which is the way that most people operate in life. It's the opposite. It's about being the person in your identity first, and identity is all formed at the subconscious level. So this is where we have to look at what are the subconscious beliefs that are pulling me from, or holding me, or feel like there's like sandbags or chains, or that feeling of just not being able to move forward. And then committing to doing the work, even though it feels ugly, it feels tough. You got to look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, yes, I am this person. I've been this person, and I'm no longer willing to be that person any longer. And so what is it that I need to acknowledge and find the stories that are holding us back? And here's what happens when we go through the river of change to get to the other side, right? See, all of our hopes, all of our dreams, all of our aspirations, and that 1% life that you want for yourself, right? That life that even if you haven't thought about it for a long time, it's out there, it's out on the horizon, it's on the other side of that river. But in order for you to get there, you have to cross through the river, right? You have to cross through the river. And the river is not pretty. It's unforgiving at times. The river will pull you down in an undertow. The river will grab, there'll be branches and things that'll be in your way, obstacles that you have to maneuver around. The waters will get crazy at times. They'll rise. It'll feel impossible to cross through that river. And do you know what most people do? What most people do is they get into that river and they realize how uncomfortable it feels. Because as you're programming yourself to be somebody different, right? The person with the hopes and the dreams and the goals that you have is a different person than you are now. It requires a death of self. And I wanted to address that part in this message that she wrote in the Facebook group, which is, I will be doing, when I look at who I'm destined to be and see what I will be doing to become her today, it felt like a funeral for the woman I have lived with for 48 years. That's a powerful statement, is it not? It's really powerful. And that's actually what happens, is there is a shedding of self. There's a death of self, because the person that you are right now that has the outcomes that you have in your life in regards to your financial situation, your relationships, your health, all of it came with a certain level of thinking. The outcomes you have in every area of your life, your reality right now, look at your bank account, look at your relationships, whatever area is one that needs improving more than the other, the one that you're working to improve, there is a level of thinking, there's a set of beliefs and thoughts and stories that led you to create the outcomes you have right now in that area. So if it's career, for example, and you're frustrated and you're like, I'm not moving forward. I feel like I take a step forward and I have to take 3 steps back. I'm just not gaining progress. Well, there's the thinking in your mind that created that outcome for you right now. And we have to literally, it has to be a death of self. We have to reprogram ourselves into knowing, who do I need to be in order to do what I need to do to have what I want to have in life? And that individual is not, it's within you, but it's not who you are right now, right? It requires a different neurology, right? You have to have different thoughts that are firing and wiring together. And that gets really uncomfortable when we begin this change process. So people step into the river of change and it feels really freaking uncomfortable. And it's like, oh no, it's way more comfortable on that other side. And they pull back and they go to the other side. They go back to that side that they came from. And guess what that means? They stay the same. They stay stuck in the same life, getting up, going to work, coming home, doing the same thing, or running that business, doing the same thing, producing the same outcomes year after year after year, unfulfilled because they're not willing to face the torrential waters, the crazy rising waters, and all of the things that come with it, pulling them down at times. Yes, it will, because your mind is adapting to, who is this person? It doesn't feel normal, right? It doesn't feel normal. I'm used to waking up feeling a certain way. All of a sudden I'm feeling really different. And when you start incorporating different behaviors and habits, for example, 2 days ago, we talked about stepping into power rituals for success. This is massive for my clients. And the reason why, a huge reason why they get the results that they get, because they're programming their mind to do things that they were not doing in the past in the morning before they start their day. They're programming their mind to own their day. They're programming their mind to feel a certain way before the world gives them its agenda. And that is uncomfortable and there's resistance. I have to get up early. I don't want to get up 15 minutes early. That's just the minimum, right? Like, I have to get up an hour early. No way. But can you get up just 15 minutes early and start doing the things you have not yet done and pouring into you? See, when we start doing just those kind of things, and then we're adding on the layers of, okay, so now what's the new thinking required for that outcome I desire? Because this thought's not going to get me there. This belief system I have right now of, it's so hard, I can't do it, or whatever that is for you, or maybe I'm not deserving of it or worthy of it. All those beliefs and stories gave you the outcomes you have right now in your life. Those beliefs and those stories created the outcome that you have in your life. Who agrees? And that's just the reality of what it is. So to create a completely new outcome requires a completely new psychology. It requires a completely new way of thinking, a new blueprint of your mind. You have to create a new mind in a way, and that requires the shedding of the old self. There is a death of the old self, and many people mourn that person. As they start achieving more and more success, because there's little micro tweaks we make here and there, like, oh, this is a little up level. That feels different. Oh, I just got a new client. Now I'm charging more. This feels good. And then it's like, oh, it's uncomfortable. I want to go back, right? It can feel like, wow. When you're growing, guess what? People in your community, in your circle, your friends, for example, look at you different. They're like, you're not the same person. Of course I'm not, because that person is not living the life that I desire. So you shift, you evolve, your thinking changes, so your behavior changes. And naturally, people look at you different. And when you begin to mourn that loss of self, because there was an identity attached to the people in your life who were creating the outcomes you had. There was a very specific identity attached. You were attached to them, and they were often feeding you. They may be feeding you now. And when we decide that those people, see, I know I'm going kind of all over right now because it's so interwoven, right? The people who we keep in our circle are creating the life that we have. If you want a different life, if you want to up-level your life, you have to let go of people who are pulling you down. See, what happens when why do people put 2 crabs in a bucket? Right? If you put 1 crab in a bucket, the crab's getting out and it's running all over. It's gone. Crab's gone. But the moment you put more than 1 crab in the bucket, what happens? The crab that's trying to crawl out will get pulled down by another crab. It'll never make it out. So we have to get rid of the crabs in our bucket and pick the people in our inner circle wisely. Choose who you want to be there that will help you up-level your identity and help you through that discomfort and that growth and that shedding of the old self. Because there is a funeral necessary when you are in your mind. You're like, you need to grieve, allow yourself to grieve that person and acknowledge that's what's happening. It's just uncomfortable because I'm shifting and I'm growing and there's new neurology that's forming. And that's what's going to create the different actions and the behaviors that you were unwilling to do before. So the more that we, when they talk about building the muscle, you got to force yourself to build the muscle. Even it starts here though. It starts here, right? That this is a thought. In order to have new set of thoughts and beliefs, you have to encourage them. You have to force them to happen, right? You have to catch yourself in the old stories. You have to catch yourself in the old beliefs. You have to cancel them out. You have to redirect yourself. You have to continue to reprogram your mind with the new thoughts that are going to serve you. And the thoughts eventually become beliefs. Neurons that fire together, wire together, right? The more that we encourage the new set of beliefs, the new stories. No, this is my story. I am worthy. I am enough. I am deserving every time that thought goes to the negative place. The more that you encourage that and you reinforce that, what happens is that all of a sudden, that is a new belief for you. Those neurons that kept firing. The more that they fire, like, oh, you're encouraged. Oh, it feels uncomfortable. It just doesn't feel right. The more that you encourage that, you build the muscle, you force yourself into the push-up, you force yourself into that thought, into that belief. And soon, right, when you do it with a feeling that connects with it, you start. That feeling is crucial. Like, oh, I feel good. This is where your power rituals get you into an empowered place. So then after we start programming our mind, right after, when you're like, wow, I feel unstoppable. Me telling myself I am worthy feels a lot more real than when I did it before my power rituals, right? So there's so much that we're covering in this challenge, guys. So hopefully at some point in the future, you can join us in our next one. I don't know when that is, but I just want to, hopefully you got value out of today and that you're thinking about, growth is uncomfortable. And people don't think of it as like, oh, I want to grow. I just want to grow. I want to change. I want to transform. No, they want the outcome that's on the other side of that, right? What's on the other side of growth and transformation is the life you desire. And there's urgency to that. The sirens agree. And in order to get there, you've got to embrace the discomfort. You have to embrace the pain. You have to acknowledge that I'm simply going through the river of change right now. I'm growing. It's uncomfortable. And I'm choosing to continue to walk or eventually swim forward to the other side. And you push through and it gets easier and it gets easier and easier. And all of a sudden you're like, we wake up and you're, oh my God, I feel different. And I like the person that I feel like today. And this becomes your new normal. And do you have to continue to reinforce that person and that identity? You do. But pretty soon, it's just who you are, rock star. And then you continue to grow and you continue to do the things that make you uncomfortable and know what's my next level? What's the next level for me? And who do I need to be from an identity perspective? Do I need to be committed? Do I need to be more confident? Do I need to be a more worthy person for that next level of income, right? Do I need to feel like I'm accepting and receiving of abundance and worthy of that abundance in order to go from a multiple 6-figure a year business to a 7-figure a year business? You probably do. So what's that person who's running a 7 or 8-figure business? What is that person believing about themselves? What are the stories they're telling themselves about money? That it's hard to make or that it's easy and it flows to them easily and effortlessly and in abundance? And then you need to reinforce that, right? There's always another level. There's always another level. And that next level is always uncomfortable, rockstar. And those who make it through the discomfort and they lean in, right? Fear, false evidence appearing real. It's just a story 99.999% of the time, unless your body is actually in a threat, where most of the time we just think we are. Oh, I got to walk out onto that stage. Oh my God, accessing the sympathetic nervous system, right? You're in sympathetic mode, stress, body's going into like, how do I fight this off? Fight or flight or freeze, right? Like that is not real stress. That's just false evidence appearing real. So we can begin to take control of our mind and we can begin to say, no, I'm actually not anxious. Or fearful. I'm actually excited. I'm excited to do that. And you begin to reprogram that the anxiety is just excitement. Well, guess what? Do you think it will impact how you show up? before you take that call, before you step onto that stage, before you do the presentation or the negotiation or the conversation that's difficult and uncomfortable to have. Of course it will, as my stomach growls. Of course it will feel different because you reframed your thinking and you shifted it. So Rockstars, I hope you got value from today's episode. Man, this was intended to be a shorter episode today. I'm doing a call with my significant other this evening, my amazing partner, Scott Jackson, tonight inside our challenge on creating conscious relationships. So a little uncomfortable. I'm definitely, admittedly uncomfortable having this talk on what it means to create a conscious relationship and a partnership with your partner. Wow. So I'm doing it anyway. I'm like, yes, we're doing it. It's uncomfortable. I'm putting my personal life out there, talking about how we do what we do. And I'm sure some of the not so good stuff's going to come up, but you do it anyway. You lean in because the life you desire is on the other side of that Rockstar. Rockstar, if you got value out of today's episode, do me a favor. If you are listening to one of our podcasting platforms on Apple iTunes, please leave us a 5-star review and share this out. Leave us a rating and review, and share this out. Just one person. Every episode, if you can just share it with one person, it helps us grow, it helps us reach more people, and it allows us to continue to put out this show for you for free with asking nothing in return. And that's all I ask. Thank you so much. If you're listening to us on Facebook, please tag somebody and share this out to your community. Rockstars, get out there, create an absolutely incredible day today. You certainly deserve it. And the people whose lives you decide to impact in a positive way will thank you. Be unstoppable. Peace.